Welcome to Share a Sandwich. My name is Mary Kay Holmes, and I will be your host. Each week, I will interview a new person, asking them the same 10 questions. And this week, our guest is Chris Lackey, who is an amazing friend of mine, as well as a talented and established podcaster himself. He is a writer, he is an illustrator, he is an artist, he is a father and a husband, and an all-around amazing dude. I was super excited to talk to him. He lives in England, so we don't get to talk as much as we like. And getting him on the phone was a pure delight. And I have to say, he has one of the best answers for a book that he's currently reading so far. I cannot wait to get my hands on it. So let's dive in.
Where, Mallorca? Where is that?
Spain.
Oh, Spain.
It's like a fancy. Did you see the movie with Pedro Pascal and Nick Cage?
No.
You didn't? Oh my God, John, you have to see that movie. It's so good.
I don't really watch movies much anymore because I'm just so busy with kids and things, and I
Wow.
watch TV shows.
Okay.
I mean, maybe this is stuff we should be talking about, but yeah, I don't get to watch a feature. The only feature films that I watch anymore are like Marvel and Star Wars things because they are my escape movies.
Okay, well, then I have to change my icebreaker for you because my icebreaker was based on films. So I'm going to pick a different icebreaker for you now.
Yeah. You said to TV shows. I'm watching lots, like Apple TV.
Oh, yeah. No, we can talk about that.
Everything on that. Yeah.
I had a very, very specific film question that I was going to ask you.
Wait, what was it? What was it? Maybe I did see it.
Did you see Barbie or Oppenheimer?
I saw Barbie.
Okay. So
we went out to see Barbie. Yeah.
Come on, Barbie. Did you like it?
I did. It was. I thought it was very subversive in a good way, and I was very shocked by the fact that it was a weird movie for people to be dressed up in pink. All these women in pink and their little drinks. They're like, we're gonna see Barbie, and like you go, and it's like, fuck me, man. This is some heavy shit.
Yeah.
In a good way. In a good way.
No, I think it was really interesting, and I think I would imagine, a lot of even those women were surprised by it, like they're going thinking it's just going to be like this cute little film, which parts of it were just a cute little film. Yeah. But also like, I love the idea that women were like getting together in big groups and men and other people and all of their friends. When we went and saw it opening weekend here, it was like everyone was dressed up. It wasn't just like cis women in their pink. It was like all the people dressed, and it was so fun and inclusive, and like the vibes were awesome, and I loved it. But my Barbie question for you is, what is your Barbie job, or rather your Ken job?
My Ken job. Oh, I see. Like beach.
Yeah.
Oh, computer.
Computer. You do computer?
Yeah.
Okay. It's a pretty Barbie job. Well, I was going to ask you a two-parter, and the first part was going to be Barbie or Oppenheimer, but obviously you didn't see Oppenheimer.
I didn't see. I'm familiar with who he is from a historical standpoint, but about the movie and what they show in the movie, I'm at a loss.
Yeah, that's fine.
It seemed like a bummer to me, so I just was definitely going to skip
it. Nuclear war. It's not.
It's not light fare.
Not the most fun topic to talk about. So I don't know how familiar you are with like 30 Rock or Liz Lemon or like quote.
I've watched 30 Rock all the way through 4 times, I think.
It's the best.
Yeah, I love it.
I love Liz Lemon so much. And so I sort of was like mulling around this idea for a podcast for the last couple of years. I think it kind of came to me during COVID, which is like when everyone was really being sort of like pushed apart and we were really talking about our differences. And I'm like, I think a lot of humans are just more alike than we realize.
It's true.
We like food, we like to watch TV, we like to read books, we like to like fart around with our friends. And so I was thinking it'd be kind of fun to take a bunch of different people that I know and don't know and just ask them the same questions and see kind of like how that goes. So that's sort of the idea of this. And of course, obviously you were like top of my list. So I have a bio for you.
Oh shoot, you asked me for that.
No, it's fine.
The kids are still out of school. So I had them all day, and then I try to work this afternoon, and they go back Wednesday.
You're a super dad. I mean, that's really your bio.
Super dad.
Yeah. So I just pulled your bio from a previous podcast that we did together.
It's probably the same.
And it is this. Chris Lackey is the co-host of two shows, the legendary H.P. Lovecraft literary podcast and Rachel Watches Star Trek. Originally from Illinois, he now lives in Yorkshire, England via Los Angeles.
That's pretty good, except the H.P. Lovecraft literary podcast has morphed into the Strange Studies of Strange Stories podcast.
Yes, thank you for that update.
So that's the only thing that's updated. Everything else is still the same.
And for all the people, if you've not listened to either of Johnny, sorry, I call you Johnny because that's my nickname for you, Chris Lackey podcasts, you should go listen to both of these podcasts because they are delightful in many ways.
Thank you very much. I still have my Johnny belt that you gave me, and I still wear it. Oh, yeah, I still wear it too, which just confuses everybody.
That's fun, though. And the older you get, the more fun it is.
It's true.
I feel like one of the beauties of getting older is just throwing people off their game as much as you possibly can.
Yeah. Well, we're all getting older. Everybody's getting older. All those young people are getting older. I used to get really annoyed when young people would go, "Oh my God, I'm so old. I'm going to be 25 this week," and you're like, "You got to be kidding me!" But a friend of mine said to me, "You got to remember, this is the oldest they've ever been in their whole life."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh, yeah." From their perspective, this is old. This is
right.
They can see other old people, but that's like abstract. That doesn't make sense.
Well, and it's on the flip side of that.
Yeah.
I read something recently talking to people our age about like continuing to pursue your dreams and whatnot. It's like, this is the youngest you will ever be.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Ever again.
Yeah. I'm just going to get to be old.
Yeah. I mean, I don't mind being old. I actually saw a meme the other day on the interwebs that said they should take malls and turn them into retirement homes for Gen Xers and have like movie theaters and arcades and like shops, and we can mall walk and then like live there. I'm like, I'll move in now. Like I'll literally move in right now.
That's what I want. I want
puzzles
cafes
and Jeopardy.
Yeah.
And like
an
movie
arcade.
theaters.
Did you have a Aladdin's Castle, or is that just a Midwest thing? We had Aladdin's Castle arcades with stand up.
No, we did not. I don't remember what our arcade was called. But you know, we had the Hot Topic and we had the arcade and we had like the food court. Like, come on. I could go for a food court. Like you pop down there, you meet up with your friends.
Food courts are still going on. Here there is a mall that opened up a couple of years ago, and it has a total food court with strangely Taco Bell, KFC, Burger King.
This is in England.
In England, Subway. It's all these like American food places, and there's like a couple other things. Like there's a Japanese food place and but
I want an Orange Julius.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And then like a coffee place. And then maybe a hot dog on a stick with the vegan hot dogs.
Yes.
And then I think I would just be happy, and I could like sit on a carousel and have a hot dog on a stick and an Orange Julius. And then like whoever's available, we could like pop over to where, you know, like the old Best Buy where we sit on the couch and watch Jeopardy. Like this sounds amazing. And if it were a like destination to go on vacation, I would go now.
Sign me up.
Okay.
Sign me up. I'm interested.
In the interest of being conscious of your time, I'm going to start asking you questions so that you can go return to your life.
Sure.
Okay, so your first question is, what is your favorite TV show or movie you have watched recently?
Recently, I think the thing that I've been watching, recently, and it pertains to you, was Platonic.
Yes.
Because it made me think of you. And
I love that show.
And our platonic relationship, where we would go out, and when we were in our 20s and 30s, we would go out together and cause trouble and do dumb stuff. In LA, so it's not that far removed. From what was going on with us, but it was just really funny, really thoughtful. It made us laugh really hard. A good show. I really liked it. Apple TV's been knocking them out of the park. Shrinking, I thought, was really good.
Yep, Shrinking was good. Good. And
Jason Segel, Harrison Ford.
Yep. They're doing a lot better. Remember when they first started and like all Apple shows were kind of bad, like right out of the gate, and it was like, oh no, Apple. But then Ted Lasso came.
Ted Lasso
changed everything.
And I've
Ev-
been enjoying After Party, the second season of After Party, which
Oh, I
is the
haven't
murder
watched
mystery
that
thing.
yet. I
It's
have
really
not watched
funny.
it.
Yeah, highly recommend it.
I watched the first season and I really liked it.
Well, good stuff.
Do you get Party Down over there? Have you been able to watch the new season of Party Down?
No,
Oh,
I don't know what it's on. I've been trying to hunt it down because I loved it when it was first on about
yeah.
15 years ago or 10 years ago. I don't remember how long ago it's been on, but I've been watching that. Oh, All Murders in the Building is another show that I've been
Oh,
really enjoying
yeah.
as well.
Yeah. I need to watch the new season of that. That's on my list.
Yes, I'm watching that right now. It's very funny.
Yeah. I
Interesting
love,
characters.
I've been a Martin Short fan, especially Martin Short, my whole
Oh,
life.
yeah. Those
And
guys are
so to
great.
see the kids now loving Steve Martin and Martin Short gives me so much joy.
Yeah. I like too that it's like a young woman and some two old dudes and they're just buds.
Yeah.
And there's something really refreshing about that. I have a friend that is older and he's like what am I, 50? So he's 65.
Hmm.
And he has a lot of people that he hangs out with that are younger than him because he's like people my age just talk about like getting old and
Yeah.
how their knees hurt and he goes, it's freaking boring. I'm so
That and
tired
World
of
War
that stuff.
II. World War II
That
documentary.
no, it's not that old. 65, that would he's it's a boomer.
No, just
That's
every old man that I know likes to watch World War II doc
oh, World War
and
II,
talk
of
about
course.
them. Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
So
So yeah, I think it's cool that people of different ages. There's this whole thing in Norway. I think it was Norway, or was it Finland? Doesn't matter. Where college students were staying with old people in their houses, like as
yes.
roommates. Did you read
Mhm.
about this?
I did. I did.
And it was super rad. Like everybody was into it because the old people all of a sudden had these cool, interesting social lives because they're living with people that have boyfriends and girlfriends and they're going out and they're doing stuff. So they would occasionally go out and do stuff. And then the younger people had somebody that was kind of responsible, had some life experience, wasn't their parent. Like that was a big thing. It's not like
Yeah.
it's not that dynamic. It's a roommate dynamic. And they said it was super beneficial to both people generally. Obviously, you get some asshole in there,
Wackadoos.
but
Yeah. No, I mean,
but
and
yeah,
it's also super beneficial because of housing. So, like, if you think about it here in the US,
yeah.
like,
Oh
housing
my
is
God.
expensive. Being a student
Oh
and going to college is expensive. Hiring someone to take care of your, older person is expensive. So, if you have an older person with a home with empty bedrooms because their kids
yep.
don't live with them anymore, you
Yeah,
let a
yeah.
college student move in there, and then part of them living there, they get to live there for free, but they need to like keep an eye on the older person and
Yep.
like drive them to get groceries or whatever. Like,
Yep.
it's this perfect symbiotic relationship to me that
Yeah.
makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, it's rad.
I would love to see that happen more.
Yeah.
Okay, question number 2.
Sure, sure.
What is your a new book or your favorite book that you have read recently or
Oh
like
my
to
God.
read frequently?
You're gonna this is gonna be nuts here. So the thing that I'm obsessed with right now is a book called African Ways. It was written in the 1920 late 20s, early 30s. It's about this, it's nonfiction. It's this guy who was an American journalist, went into Central Africa and wanted to hang out with tribe people and meet people, specifically cannibals.
Oh,
So he
wow.
goes in, but it's layered in this crazy way because it's still colonial stuff going on with this.
Mhm.
So there's like this French dude that lives there and he has a good relationship with these local tribes. So he has the 4 tribe leaders come over and they're all like characters. Like the one guy in charge of this tribe, he's got a French fireman's hat that he wears. There's this other dude that I don't know what they love their hat, the hats are a thing. He said there's another guy with a check flat cap, one of the leaders of the tribe, and he wore nothing else. He was completely naked except for this check flat cap. And it's bizarre because there's racist things in there, racist attitudes because it's colonial. But then there's the reverse of it at times where it's really respectful and really thoughtful about cultures that are different than your own. And it's just and just things keep happening. Like where his interpreter, who is not a cannibal, uh, grew up in a westernized or northernized or European school, came
Mhm.
back. So he like wears suits and ties and things like that. And he said, "Oh, before we go on this, you better go talk to my grandfather's ghost." And the guy's like, "Okay, yeah, let's do that. Why not?" And they go to this little temple where there is a dissected arm hanging from a rope with a finger pointing down to like a little altar. And he goes, "That's my grandfather's arm, and his ghost is here." And he just sits down and starts talking to his grandfather's ghost. And he
Oh,
says, I want to, my friend here is going to go deal with these cannibal tribes. I just want you to bless him." And then the arm slowly begins to move, and he goes, "Oh, good, that's a good sign. That means he'll do it." And he goes, "Oh, okay. Well, should I leave an offering?" And the guy says, "Oh, no, 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 no. My grandfather has to deliver. If you get hurt or injured, then you give him or then you don't have to give him anything. If he's going to give you protection, he's got to actually protect you. So after your journey, come back and then give something." Because he had this whole like wall of trinkets and paintings and things that people had done for the ghost of his grandfather. And it's just one thing like this, so different than anything I've ever read about. And also on a meta level, I don't know how much of this is BS. I don't know if these guys are messing with this dude, if this
right,
guy's making stuff up,
right.
because he's a journalist. I did some research on the guy that actually wrote the book. Robert Seabrook is his name. He turns out got into cannibalism himself
Whoa.
because in reading the book, he's really curious about eating human flesh. Like, what does it
Right.
taste like? What is it? And there's a whole, the only time that the tribes typically do it is during war. And oh man, it's just fascinating. It's just super fascinating. And there's so many things to think about because you can't really trust this author
Yeah.
because he's kind of a sensationalist journalist. But then there's a lot of truth that is in there, maybe not what you expect. It super fascinating. It's called African Ways. It's you can find it online for free because it's out of print. It's been out of print for a while. A
Oh,
friend of mine sent it to me like on Amazon. You can print it in a book format. And oh, and there's pictures. That's one of the coolest thing is there's photographs of all these people.
oh,
The,
I'm going to
the
share that.
guy
I'm going to find the PDF and share it with everybody when I put this up.
the guy with the the French fireman's hat is there's a picture of him in there. And there was a cook, one of the cooks, one of the cannibal cooks, didn't want to talk to the guy at all because probably because he was white and they're oppressors. But the chief insisted on it, so he grumpily answered his questions. And there's a picture of the grumpy dude just kind of sitting there going, "I don't want to be doing this."
I don't want to talk to these white people. I mean, I don't
Uh,
blame, you know.
Bizarre. And that's the only reason I found that story is because on Strange Studies and Strange Stories, we were covering a fiction story, and the fiction story referenced this book. And I didn't, and doing research in the story, I found out that that book was a real book. And I was like, "Oh, that's cool." And then I read the little blurb about it, and it's the so and so cannibal ate his wife and seven of her friends. Then then the trial was what made him famous. And I'm like, "What? What is this?" I haven't even got to that part yet. I don't know what that's about. That's not
Oh
in the book yet.
man, that's
So
amazing.
it's
That
crazy stuff.
that is a great, great, great recommendation. I love stuff like that. So
And
I'm
it's page turning.
100%.
It's one of these where there's no fat. It's all lean meat. Pun intended.
Lean human meat.
Lean human meat.
Okay, that's fantastic. I love that. And to follow that up, if you were to write a book about your life, what would it be called?
Uh, wow, getting by.
Yeah.
Getting by, the Chris Lackey story.
Getting by.
Getting
Yeah.
by.
I
Just
mean,
getting
you're at
by.
that phase of parenting too, where like, you just got to get through the day.
Yeah, my kids are 11 and 9 now, so they're pretty fun dudes.
Hmm.
They today, this is what we did. We went to into town because they're like I said out of school, and I had them on my own. We went to the Warhammer store, which is that store where they have little miniature army guys and you paint them and stuff. And we
Yep.
did a workshop there, and they had super fun. I had fun with them, and we got some little dudes and we put them together when we got home, and we're going to paint them, but ran out of time because I actually get back to work.
Yep.
Um, but they're really clever. They make jokes. Sometimes they make dumb jokes that annoy me. And I sometimes laugh at the dumb jokes, but
Of
sometimes I'm
course.
just like, that's not that good of a joke, dude. step up your game. That's not that funny.
Catch up, kid. Catch
Oh,
up.
the thing that's driving me up the walls that they're doing now is pretending to mishear something.
Oh,
It's like, oh, I went
interesting.
to the store, and it says, you heard a knock at the door? And I'm like, no, I didn't say that. And they're just, you can see them going, mm-hmm.
And they do it to bother you, and it does bother you.
It does bother me, yeah.
So they're winning.
Yeah, they're
The kids
winning
are winning. Yeah, that's about right.
because I still love them and I still do nice things for them. So, yeah, they're obviously they're winning.
They're winning. The kids are winning. I mean, let's be honest. The kids win most of the time.
Well, they should win. That's the whole point. The kids should
I
win.
agree. I agree. My kids still win. They're old and they still win. So it continues. Okay, it's question number 3. Something you wish you had done more when you were younger.
Uh,
I
I was a scaredy cat when I was a kid. I was super cautious about everything. And I think maybe if I was a little less cautious with everything and took more chances, I might have been better off. But then again, it might have also kept me out of big trouble as well.
mm-hmm.
Like I was a very late bloomer when it came to ladies and relationships. And then once those floodgates opened, I got pretty busy. But it
Pretty
it
busy.
it wasn't. I sometimes wonder if I should have gotten busy sooner. But then again, I might have made some terrible mistakes. That I had maturity when I got started later. That
Mm-hmm.
maybe I would have knocked somebody up. Maybe I would have STD.
Right.
I was able to dodge all that stuff, thankfully.
Yep.
Where surprisingly, I knew lots of people that had unwanted pregnancies that happened in
Sure.
their lives, and it's shocking to find out how much that happens to people. And so, yeah, I was able to avoid all those things. So, yeah, maybe exercise more. Maybe that would be a good thing to. I wasn't in very good shape. I mean, I was in all right shape. There was that period where I was doing Krav Maga for about a year that I was in
Yep.
great shape, that I could do 20 pull-ups.
Isn't that
20
crazy?
pull-ups.
Yeah.
Jesus. I can do 3 if I'm lucky. And then I got a game shoulder right now. I got to go do
Oh,
physio on my stupid shoulder. It's stupid. Nothing happened. I didn't like
yeah.
fall or it's just I woke up one day and go, "Ow. Why? Why did this happen?" And they just go, "Getting old."
Yep. Time for physical therapy. Yep.
Thanks
Getting
a
old is
lot.
fun. It's the best. Okay, moving on.
Yeah.
What is a nonprofit or organization you are passionate about?
Uh, Planned Parenthood.
Yeah,
Talking about, I've been a supporter of them for years, and I've given them money. Um,
very important right
I
now.
Yes, especially what's going on in the States. I don't even live in the States, and I still give money to Planned Parenthood. There is a homeless organization here in the UK that I give some money to. That's what's it called? Because I just tagged it. Oh man, I should know this because I give money every month. But what they do is they help get people into places that they can live and help them find jobs and all that stuff. The
That's
social
great.
care here is much better than it is in the States.
Oh, for sure.
There's a social programs that are set up
Yeah,
that that you have to have some real problems and not be able to take advantage of housing and care.
mhm,
But some people do. Some people have really bad mental health problems and they don't want help and they prefer to
sure,
live on the street. Um,
sure. Well, send me that name, and
I
I will
will. I'll put a link in, or I'll give it to you so you can put a link in there.
put a link. Put a link in it.
I'll put a link in it.
Put a link in it if you could do that. That'd be great. Okay, this is a good question for you. If you could have a superpower, what would it be?
Oh boy, I've had this fantasy for a long time because sometimes when I get frustrated about things in the news, I think to myself, what superpower would I really be able to take advantage of and wreak justice? Because I'm afraid to say I would become evil if I got superpowers. You know how power
Oh,
corrupts.
yeah, no,
Absolutely. I
me
would start
100%.
I would start unleashing what I deemed justice, which is basically evil, because that's what
Sure.
most bad guys do. They think they're
Yeah.
doing the right thing.
Mhm.
But I think being able to teleport, and not just myself, but other people with
Mm.
me, would be the raddest power. Not
Yeah,
just not just because you could, people can't get you. So if you want to unleash your justice on the world, what are they going to do? You can
yeah, you
teleport.
disappear.
You're on one side of the planet. You're on another side of the planet. You
Yeah,
can't get you. You're
right.
untouchable.
Hmm.
But on a social level, you can hang out with your friends anywhere in the world. I could
Yeah,
say, "Hey, MK, you want some lunch today? I mean, it'd be dinner for me." And you go, "Sure." Boop, there I am.
that'd
We
be the
have some
best.
lunch. Not a problem. Or if I want the family to go on a holiday somewhere, boop boop, I could just teleport them there. So on a very practical, mundane, not evil way, it would be an awesome power. But also on a maniacal, evil, superpowered villain kind of way, where there are horrible people in the world that you think should go away. Well, you can make them go away. Not
Yeah,
necessarily kill them. Just
right.
put them on some island out in
Put
the
them
South
somewhere else.
Pacific. Yeah.
Pick an
I
empty
think
island and just start plopping all the bad people there and just make them like
yeah,
fight to the death.
there you go. And like, I think we could say Putin is a pretty bad guy. I think
Yeah, I think
that's fair.
that's a
I'm
safe
not
thing.
being, I'm not being too political or anything like that. He's a pretty bad guy. So
Right.
we could, if I could pop in, get Putin and just put him on an island somewhere. Don't even have to kill him. So he's just put him on the island, give him some stuff to live on, and just kind of keep putting those people out on that island. Those the bad people or whoever I deem bad at that
I
particular time.
really want to steal this idea and write a short story about it because this
Do
is
it.
an amazing idea. Like just taking these people and creating like a Lord of the Flies situation
Yeah.
and then see what happens. It would be like a social experiment. Like
Oh yeah.
would they like fall into line? You know what I mean? Would they like create their own little like messed up
Yeah.
social structure? And would Putin be like telling everyone what to do? And then,
Or would they just turn on each other? Would they be so terrible
yeah.
to each other? Yeah, it's yeah, I've fantasized about that because sometimes I get anxiety about news and what's going on in the world,
Oh,
and
me too.
I'm sure everybody does.
Yeah.
And I can't sleep, and so I'll dive into this fantasy and go, okay, I'll do this and I'll do that and then this. And I go, oh, that's pretty evil. I don't know if I should do that. But they're
Yeah.
pretty evil people. And wouldn't it make the world a better place? Wouldn't it really help out a lot of other people? I go, well, their family would be sad. Would their family be
Would they
sad?
be sad?
Or
Yeah.
would they be kind of happy that they're gone because they're
Hmm.
terrible people? I don't know.
I mean, we in the
But
US have a person like that. And it's like, I don't know that his family would be all that sad. I don't know that anybody would
yeah,
be all that sad if he went to live on an island somewhere for a while.
yeah,
I think
yeah,
it would be fine. I think it would work out just fine.
just fine.
Um, Follow-up question to that is what is your superpower?
Oh, what is the thing that I feel like? Well, making a podcast because I do so much of it, but I, uh, to toot my own horn, I feel like I'm really good at talking with people in conversational ways.
Hmm.
What that means is I, I have we have dinner parties or I hang out with friends, and I love my friends, but some of my friends I've noticed aren't good at talking, as
Sure.
in or having a conversation. No, they're very good at talking. They're bad at having a conversation where they will just monopolize time. They won't ask questions.
Hmm.
They, uh, I still love them and I still have fun. And it's usually the people that are the most fun are the most like this, unfortunately. That's like
Sure.
the zany party awesome people are the ones that are the less thoughtful and the less considerate in a conversation.
Yeah.
And I've been trying to hone my conversational skills so that I get a good back and forth going with people, that you listen the right amount and also talk the right amount, because if you don't talk enough, you're
Mm.
also dropping the ball. You've got to kind of keep that thing back and forth. And that's a superpower that I'm still trying to finesse, but I feel pretty proud of it.
Yeah. Conversation is an art, and having someone leave a conversation feeling like they had a delightful chat, you
Yes.
cared about what they were saying, they
Hmm.
feel just the right amount of special and interesting.
Yep.
Like there's definitely an art to that. So
Yes.
that, I mean, I would say that's a fantastic superpower.
There is. Yeah. Oh, I just to knock myself down a peg, a friend of mine, Mike Brum. who I haven't seen in a long time. I saw him at a wedding not too long ago. He's a master. He is the conversational. He's the guy that when you leave, you feel like $1,000,000.
I love those.
He's so interested in everything you're doing. He makes you feel like you're clever and you're smart and all those things in a very sincere way. You
Yep.
believe it. He's not blowing smoke up your ass. He's totally doing. And I was like, oh right, okay, I can still step up my game. There's still more I can do.
Yeah. Yeah. The eye contact being just
Oh
close enough, but not
mm-hmm.
too close,
Not too
asking
close,
questions that are like diving deep, but not too deep. I mean,
not
it
too deep.
really is. Yeah. Yeah. I actually, I love that. That's a great goal
Oh
for
yeah,
relations. Yeah.
I'm trying to teach my kids about that too. We do social skill lessons. I've got a book on social skills, and it's about talking and listening and being a good friend and what that's about. And
That's
they're
amazing.
young, so we're not there yet, but I'm
No,
hoping
but
that
this is when it gets in there. This
yeah.
is when all this stuff gets in there, like I watched this amazing panel several years ago about consent that was really interesting.
Mm,
And it was, a ton of women and one man who's a former football player, American football player.
hmm
And he was talking about obviously like locker room talk and hanging out with footballers and all the domestic violence, everything that
hmm
happens in those groups, and how he was working from the inside and they were trying to like do sensitivity training and everything.
yeah.
And then he took his 2-year-old son to a play date one day. And his 2-year-old son climbed up on the couch with his little girlfriend, friend who
hmm
was a girl,
hmm
and like wrapped his arm around her and was holding her hand and was kissing her. And she was just sitting there. And he
hmm
had this moment of like, oh my God, my kid just got on this couch and did all this stuff without asking her, is it okay if I
Yep.
hug you? Is it okay if I
Yep.
kiss you? Is it okay if I hold your hand? Can I sit with you? All of that. And he's like,
Yes.
it starts so early.
Yeah.
And so he was talking about how there really is no such thing as too early to start teaching our
Yeah.
kids about respect and consent and
Yeah.
listening to each other and being a good
hmm
friend and all of that, because they're developing from the second they are born.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
good for you. Kudos
I
to you on that.
I'm trying. I'm trying, and that's the most we can do is you give it a go
Yeah.
because we're still fallible people,
Parenting
all
is
of
just
us.
trying. That's all it is. You're just
It's
trying on
trying. Thank you.
different levels and to different degrees on different days.
Yeah.
It's really all it is. Okay, what is the last thing you listened
Excuse
to
me.
on your phone? Song, podcast, book?
My own show. Let's see. Before that, though, Oh no, I take that back. I'm listening to Stephen Fry's Mythos,
Oh,
which is his retelling of the Greek myths.
oh, interesting.
So
I bet that's great.
it's super good. It's really cool because there's a lot of that stuff I don't know, especially about Uranus, who was the father of Kronos,
Hmm.
who was the father of Zeus. And I didn't know. So Kronos was one of the Titans. There were those groups of gods, and the Titans are all killed off by the other gods like Zeus and Aphrodite and all those other dudes. I haven't got to that yet. But Uranus was the father god, and his wife was Gaia, the Earth. And it's just really fascinating stuff. And of course, Stephen Fry's got the a great voice and a great way of telling stories. And it's super fascinating and enjoyable. And yeah, I could recommend that.
Oh, that's great. I'm going to check that out. I would love that. Okay, here's one for you. What's your
Mm.
favorite dinosaur?
Iguanodon,
Oh,
because it's uh, it's an it's a herbivore, but it has these spiky thumbs on its little arms for some reason.
I'm looking him up.
Yeah, look him up.
Oh, okay.
And he's got little spiky thumbs. You see his little spiky thumbs?
Yeah.
And he's like the fawns. It's like he's eating some veg and he's always like going, hey,
Hey.
hey. So, I just love that guy.
That's great. I never knew about that dinosaur. That's part of the
I
reason for the
had
question.
I had one when I was like a little action figure of, well, those hard plastic dinosaurs that kids had in the 70s. I don't know if they still
Mhm.
have them now,
Oh, yeah.
but I had one of him. And so that's why I
Amazing.
knew what he was called, Iguanodon, and his thumbs. I was just fascinated by his thumbs. Like, why does he have spiky thumbs? How does that
I don't
help
know.
him in any kind of evolutionary way? It just seems nuts.
But you know what Wikipedia calls him? A bulky herbivore.
Oh, is he an herbivore? A bulky herbivore?
A bulky herbivore. And he is 30 to 36 feet in length. Wow. Geez, large.
Hey, oh, no, it's big.
Okay. It's a big one.
Yeah.
All right. Next question. What is a word you say too much?
Like,
Yeah.
oh, like it's just filler word that gets thrown in all the time. You know,
You know.
that's another one
Yeah.
that's not a word, that's two words, but I work hard on it. And especially since I do podcasts, I edit myself. So I know how much I say these things because I
Yep.
ap that stuff out when I do my edits.
That's
These,
part of where this question came from. Was I was editing the other podcast, the Hall & Oates podcast
yes,
with a
great
friend,
podcast.
and
Yeah.
I was editing that, and I noticed that there are certain words that I say
Mhm.
over and over and over and over
Like,
again. A lot of them, strangely, when I'm podcasting, are descriptors. So I'm like, oh, interesting. Oh,
oh, right.
awesome. Oh, that's fascinating. You know, like
Yeah.
it's like little, which is, yeah, it's not great.
Yeah.
Okay. What is your favorite or desired celebrity sighting or person you want to meet?
My favorite or design. So one that I have had before.
Either one you've had that was awesome or one that you
Yeah.
really want.
Um, hmm. What was no, I have a strange relationship. I mean, with because we live in LA, or I lived in LA, used to live in LA. So there was a lot of running into people, and
Mm-hmm.
we also had film projects. So we actually did work. I worked with people that were rad, like
Yeah.
people that I had really respected and was excited to work with, like Tim Curry and
Mm-hmm.
Laura Prepon and Danielle Fishel, but she's a friend of mine as well. So
Right.
that was like a weird kind of thing. So it's like I never watched that show that she was on, so I didn't really know that she was like that famous. But one of my more recent ones is my wife went to university with Benedict Cumberbatch,
Hmm.
and I went to my friend Pete's wedding, who was my officiant at my wedding, uh, and Benedict was at his wedding, and I sat at Benedict's table right across from him. So it was me, Rachel, that's my wife, Benedict, and his date at the time. I don't remember who it was, just sitting at the table. So I got to spend a good portion of that evening just hanging out and
Wow.
talking with him. And he was super nice. And I think Rachel denies it, but I think he had a huge crush on her because
Oh,
oh yeah, maybe this is me because it's my wife and I want to think this,
right.
but just the way that he looked at her and like the way he was talking to her, uh, and she goes, oh, because he took her to a Bjork concert back when they were in college together. I'm like, oh yeah, he was so into you. You don't take a
Yeah.
girl to a Bjork concert and not really.
Wow.
And she's like, no, no, it wasn't like that. Maybe it wasn't like that for you.
Wow. Who
So that
can
was one of
say
those.
that Benedict Cumberbatch took them to a Bjork concert?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
No,
I knew
not
your
many
wife
people.
was cool, but I didn't know she was that
But
cool.
that's the thing. She just was like, you know, he's Benedict. Like we just went to college together. He wasn't, it's weird to me that he became like this. I mean, he was always a good actor. Like because they went to theater school together. He's like always a good actor, but like, it's weird to see him become like a celebrity.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a friend who dated John Hamm before he was famous.
Oh,
And
yeah.
like, so, and I was like, oh my God, tell me everything, of course.
Yeah.
And I don't know, he was just like John Hamm. He was just this guy, and we did like improv classes together. And
Was he, well, he was nice.
he was super, I mean, super nice. She had like nothing but nice things to say about
Oh,
him.
good. Yeah. He seems like
Um,
he would be a nice guy from all the stuff I've
I
seen.
bet he's really good at conversation.
And
Like,
he was on 30 Rock.
had been. And 30 Rock. Oh my God, he was so funny on 30 Rock.
He was.
So funny on 30 Rock. I love John Hamm. I've always loved John Hamm.
I'm bringing it back. Bringing it back.
Bring it back. Look at you. See, you're a professional podcaster, unlike the rest of us in this conversation. Okay, last question. What is
Yeah.
your favorite type of sandwich or sandwich-like food?
Does folding a pizza over count?
Sure. Listen, we can make whatever we want into a sandwich. I think
Sure.
I feel like every culture has a sandwich. Everybody has like, if a sandwich is a thing that you like put in your mouth, it's a taco or it's a, you know what I mean? Like,
A
so if
thing
you
you
fold a piece
put
of
in your
pizza,
mouth.
You fold a piece of pizza in half and call it a sandwich, then
It's a
like
sandwich.
it's a sandwich.
More legitimately, I've discovered the Beyond Burgers, which I find infinitely delicious. I think they're so good. It's the apex of veggie burgers. They're just
Oh.
so juicy and delicious and flavorful and amazing.
I know there's a
So
very controversial vegetarian take. Like some vegetarians don't like meat substitutes,
yes, uh-huh. I
but
do
then
know
if you
of
do,
that. I do. Because I loved meat. Bacon is the one thing that I still miss. I smell bacon. I go, oh God, that smells great. But I haven't eaten bacon in how old am I?
20,
Almost, yeah, I'm almost 37 years, maybe. No, not 37 years. I stopped eating meat when I was 21 or 22,
okay.
and I'm 50. So that's almost 30 years.
So 28 years.
28 years.
I
Yeah,
can't do math. I don't know if that's right, but
that's right.
sure.
You're right.
I think it's close enough.
Yeah,
A long time. You've
a
been
long
a
time.
vegetarian for a long time. And good for
Oh,
you.
I did one time though. Remember, we went to eat at Chad Olson's house.
Oh,
He
awesome.
remember that, and
Yes.
he didn't know I was a veggie, and he made beef Wellington, and it was like from scratch. And he was talking about how it took him all day to make it and all this stuff. And I didn't have the heart to say I'm not going to eat it because I'm a veggie, and I never had beef Wellington, so I actually tried it, and
Oh,
it was pretty good. I gotta
I'm sure
say,
it was good. He's amazing. And I want to have him on the podcast. He's fantastic. And
yeah,
he makes really good food. I have my brother-in-law who is like in the foreign service and has been traveling forever. And he spent
yes.
some time in South America for a while.
You're talking about
And
Colin.
yes, I'm not calm.
Yes.
And he spent some time in South America years ago. And the family that he was living with heard that he was a vegetarian. And
Uh-huh.
so the woman walked like miles and miles and miles and miles and miles to buy hot dogs and bought like 100 hot dogs and brought them back and made him a hot dog for every meal because like that was what she understood
Was the
American
veg
vegetarian. Yeah, I don't know what got lost. I don't know. I didn't know the whole story, but all I remember is that he didn't have the heart to be, to
Yeah,
say, hey,
yeah,
thanks for walking however many miles and 6 days of hiking to get me these hot dogs. I'm not going to eat them.
yeah. No
And
way.
she would make him a hot dog for every meal and he ate them
There you go.
because what are you going to
Come
do?
on. What are you
I mean,
gonna do? You can't. You
you
can't.
can't. I mean, come on. But that was probably the last time he had meat. So,
Yeah.
um, but yeah, I always thought that was a really funny story. Similar situation. What are you going to do? You're
It's
polite.
crazy to me because I feel like that Chad Olson story that I just told you was a couple years ago. And that was
Yeah.
easily 14 or 15 years ago.
Yeah. I found
That
that
doesn't
picture of us going dancing with Chad Olson recently when we were at the
oh,
Abbey in West Hollywood.
HP.
Exactly. And I feel like that was like a few years ago.
Uh-huh.
It was like 20
Yeah,
some
that's
years
like
ago.
over 20 years ago for sure.
Yeah. And when I look at the picture, I'm like, yeah, I'm a lot younger, but it doesn't feel like I'm that much younger. But yeah, that was like we were in our 20s.
Yeah, it doesn't feel that way. The time just keeps ramping up how quickly things pass.
Yeah.
And I feel like, oh, I've just recently moved to the UK. It's like, no, motherfucker, you've been
You've
there
been
for
there.
13 years.
Yeah. Do you ever look at pictures of yourself and you're like, good God, who's that? Like, what happened to me? I look so different.
Yeah. Yeah. I had more hair. I was thinner, uh, and less gray in my beard. I'm still haven't really gone I got gray beard, but my hair hasn't gone gray yet.
You still look very young. Like, you
Oh, thank you.
definitely, when I see pictures of you, I'm not feeling like, oof, he's looking old. Like, some people, really take a turn at a certain point.
Whoa, yeah. Especially people I went to high school with. I see those
Yeah.
guys and I'm like, geez, what happened?
Right. Like,
Midwesterners do not take care of
totally,
themselves.
totally different.
Yeah,
Totally different. Yeah. It's shocking sometimes. And then there's the people who look exactly the same.
yeah,
And you're like, ah, how? Yeah, I think those people like J-Lo are just genetically superior.
yeah.
I think that's just the way it is.
That's breaks are tough. Or not for some people.
Or not. Just depends. Well, thank you so much for doing this. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. It's always a pleasure to chat with you.
And I wish we chatted more and we always talk about chatting more and we should just like make it a
Just
thing.
do it. Quit being a lazy baby.
I am a lazy baby. That's not an unfair statement. It's a very fair statement. The older I get, the more lazy I am. So then
Yeah.
I should start a podcast so that people don't think I'm lazy anymore.
I just want to lie around and do nothing. Watch some TV, read a book.
Yeah. That's why every conversation I have is about books or TV, because it's all I want to do.
Get food crumbs all over myself. That's what I want to do.
Yeah, of course. Why not? Because that's what
if I'm not brushing off food off myself, then I didn't have a good time.
No, you're doing something wrong. That's what's happening.